So it depends on the family dynamics at play. If we're talking about a second marriage and we have kids perhaps on each side, then we're looking at adding provisions in your trust that would protect the assets for the next generation. Still for the benefit of your spouse, if that's what you're intending, and then provisions including things like that they have to get a prenup, postnup, if they want to continue to have access to those assets when you're gone, should they choose to remarry. And that way, the goal is to try to protect the assets for your children later. And sometimes I have some couples who are, both have kids from prior marriages. They may want to treat all the kids equally, in which case we can do that. We have others where they just, one spouse wants their assets to go to their kids after their current spouse is gone, and the other one wants it just to go to their kids. How we structure the trust depends on that dynamic. If we have other issues where perhaps we have family members that we don't want to have access to funds, or we want to cut them out, that's where we would sit down and put together language that we want to include. And if we're disinheriting someone, typically that's going to include language as to why we're doing it. That way it's abundantly clear, not just we forgot to mention them. So it may be that they have significant resources themselves, they don't need this money, or we haven't had contact with them in 30 years, we're not giving them anything. It just depends on that dynamic there. When it comes to cutting out your spouse, we don't recommend doing that because there are laws that protect your spouse. So when you pass away, if you cut your spouse out of your will and you don't have a prenup or a postnup, that reflects an agreement as to what you all have agreed to in terms of assets, then your spouse is entitled to a certain portion of your assets when you pass, regardless of whether they're held under the will, in a trust, or in accounts with beneficiaries. They have the option to elect against your estate to a certain percentage based on the length of the marriage.